Cost of college project is very straightforward as long as you read the instructions. So right now, make sure you read the instructions as you go along with this video. Part A is your research part. You are asked to research 2 four-year colleges, one of them that's in-state, so is in Texas, and one of them that's out-of-state, so any other state besides Texas. They can be private or public. Also 2 two-year community colleges, so that you can find out the yearly tuition for each of these schools, for the past 5 years. I also would like for you to research the room and board for a full year. Add together these undergraduate tuition rates and room and board to get the total cost of attending that school for each particular year. Now, there is a website we have linked you to that will tell you all this information. If you choose Texas College will have information that looks like this. Okay, you'll search for the school, you do the drop-down menu, and it will tell you a list of numbers. You want both the tuition rate from the year 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17, as well as the room and board. So the dark lines down here are the tuition, the lighter lines at the top are room and board. They are not already added together. So on your chart, when you find your school, what you'll need to do is make sure you write down both the tuition cost as well as the room and board and add them together for your total cost. This total cost column is the most important column. Okay, you will do this information on this website for both your 2-year or 4-year university in-state, your 4-year university out-of-state. You do not have to print this, by the way. I just can show you on my computer. You just read the numbers off, write them down. As well as your community college. Now, if you notice, the community college does not have room and board. It does have in-state versus out-of-state. Up to you to choose where you're going. But it does not have room and board because if you're going to a 2-year school, we recommend that you go to one where you can live at home, which saves you money so that you can afford to go to the school that you want to after your 2 years at a community college. So you want the in-state tuition from a community college, not the room and board. It won't be there. Okay, you will use that following website, and for parts B and C, you will pick one of the 2 four-year colleges and one of the community colleges to continue on with. But if you look at part A on the calculation pages, this is what will be turned in. You will need to fill out the entire chart for both the in-state school, the out-of-state school, and both community colleges that you look up. Okay, after this page, you will pick one of the 4-year schools and one of the 2-year schools to use for the rest of your calculations. That's the end of part B. Part A, my bad. Part B asks you to make projections and predictions about the cost of college for when you attend. You will do that by doing the following. Based on data in part A, up here, estimate the total cost of tuition over 4 years you would attend by the following steps below. Find the percent change between each year. Here's your formula for percent change. Find the averages of all the percent changes you found and use the average you've just found to create an exponential function in this form to determine an estimation for each year listed in the table. Pay close attention to the cost of the 4 years you will be in school. So let's go look at part B. So we have the information from part A. You will use this information to fill out part B. Part B asks you to choose one university and one community college to use. I'm going to use UW-Whitewater. It's where my cousin goes to school, as well as Northlake College, which is in the Dallas County Community College districts, but it's in Irving. What you will do is you will look at the numbers from 2013 and 2014 on your chart. Okay, in 2014, the cost of UW-Whitewater was $21,317. The cost in 2013 was $21,051. To find a percent change that year, I take the new year, 21,317. I subtract 2013's cost. So the new year minus the old year, all divided by the old year, multiplied by 100 will give me a percent change. This percent change tells me how much this college's price increased from the first year to the second year. If you get a negative number, you're going to have to understand that that means that your college got cheaper that year. Maybe due to room and board, maybe due to a new initiative in that town. However, most likely all of your percents will be positive. You will do this for both the four-year university and the community college that you've chosen. This is the new year minus the old, all divided by the old times 100. You'll do that for every pair of years up until the information that we have last year. At the end, you will average these percent changes together. So you will add this column up, divide by 4, since that's how many we're averaging together, and you'll get a final, or an average percent change for both your university and your community college. Then you'll need to also change that to a decimal because we use decimals in the formula that follows. Continuing on with part B, if you notice, it has the exponential equation written for you, a times 1 plus r to the t power. A represents the initial cost of tuition at that school in 2013. That's where we're starting looking, so that is our time 0. R represents the growth rate or percent change in decimal form that you have just calculated on the last page. And T is going to represent how many years past 2013 it is. So for this year, for 2017, you would use T equals 4. It's 4 years after 2013. So we estimate. For UW Whitewater, I used the initial cost in 2013 and the percent change that I just found. And I plugged this in my calculator, used the table to estimate what the cost would be for this school in 2018, which is 5 years after, 2019, which is 6, on and on and on. And I get all of these values. You do the same thing for Northlake College with a different equation. When you finish, you'll flip over to the next page. Finishing part B out, you answer the questions at the top. I will graduate from high school in the year, whatever your graduating year is. So the next 4 years are the years you're attending school, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023 for some of you. You need to add up the total cost of attending that 4-year university immediately after school. If I went to UW Whitewater, these 4 years, I added up those years from this table. Oh, wrong table. From this table, okay? These 4 years when I'm in school. Okay? I add those up for a grand total of $98,832. Now, if I spent the first 2 years at Northlake College, so the first 2 years, these 2 off of the Northlake College chart, and these 2 off UW Whitewater as if I transferred there, it would only cost me $54,633 to attend 2 years at community college and 2 years at university, saving me $44,199. That's a huge cost savings. That's the benefit of attending a community college before a 4-year university. Part C is what we like to call the rich aunt scenario. And it could be anybody rich in your family or a benevolent benefactor. Anyways, suppose 15 years ago, a benevolent benefactor, which just means someone super nice that's going to give you stuff, like a rich aunt, set up an account for your education. This benefactor made a single deposit of $30,000 that has been earning 6% interest compounded monthly. Since the deposit 15 years ago, no money has been added or taken from the account. Will this account be sufficient to cover tuition for all 4 years that you will be in school? Make sure that time and years that you use is 15 years plus the years that you will be at school. So you're going to see if 15 years ago, plus how many years it takes for you to finish school, if this amount of money in a bank has created enough money to pay for your account entirely. This is to see what saving in past years in a good account would do for you. Okay, I have not done part C because you can do it. It's got the equation right here, tells you where to put everything in, and you can answer your own questions. It's all there for you. That finishes up part C, then we get to part D. Part D talks about loans and scholarships. Now, there is a difference between a loan and a scholarship, and you're going to figure out what it is. Loans have to be paid back. Scholarships, you just have to prove that you're scholarly. To keep a scholarship, normally you have to keep a certain GPA in school. You can't drop below a 3.0 or 2.5 or else they'll take your money away, and then you have to pay by yourself. Loans, you have to pay back. So let's calculate how much you'd have to pay back if you applied for no scholarships, got no help, and you paid for it all with loans. You will go to this website, studentloanhero.com/calculator/student loan payment. Calculator, yes, you have to type it all in. It will look something like this. Okay, these are not the right numbers. I didn't change what the website opens up. But what you're going to do is you are going to use the total tuition amount you determine in Part B. Use this interest rate, 4.29, which is researched to be the average student rate students receive for student loans. You're going to use 10 years. You're going to try to pay back those loans 10 years after you're finished with school. That is the average time to pay back student loans. And you're going to press calculate and try not to cry, because that is going to tell you the total interest paid, which is in addition to what you borrowed. Okay? So you have to pay back how much you borrowed plus this amount. That's what interest is. Okay? That's why taking loans out is a little bit scary if you have no intention of paying them back quickly. Your interest will accumulate. So since you're overwhelmed by the number of loans that you'd have to take out, this is why we want you to apply for grants and scholarships as much as possible. These things you do not have to pay back, and they're given to you to use for your education. So to finish out the project, you will need to find 2 scholarships that you can apply for this summer or next fall, including all of the information. We've also included some good websites to check out. The counselors definitely put scholarships on their website, as well as all the rest of these. Now, there's a note. Something to consider as you begin applying to schools this summer or fall. Schools like UT, Texas A&M, WHOOP, Texas Tech, Texas State, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi all have scholarship applications on Apply Texas that you can skip if you want. But if you skip them, the scholarship applications, you will not be considered for any scholarships at those schools. Just write all the essays. Okay, even the optional ones. You want to be considered for scholarships. Put the work in at the beginning, because you can get free money for your education. Okay, let's go look at Part D. There are some more tips on the back, but you can read. Let's go look at Part D. If I had used, when I went to UW-Whitewater, just student loans and put that number in the student loan balance, which is the website, used 4.29 as my interest rate, and tried to pay it back in 10 years, my total interest paid would be $22,884, meaning that my monthly payment for 10 years would be $1,014. Going to the loan people every month, which means at the end of 10 years, paying back the loan and paying for the loan itself, I'd have to give back the cost of my college, essentially, would be $121,716. So I better be applying for some scholarships. So we search through the websites, we find some scholarships that we need to apply for. Some scholarships I got when I went to college were the National Hispanic Scholar, giving you an amount of money and a date it was due. Yes, fill it out. Tell me about that scholarship. Tell me what it's for, how you get it. And the Mesquite Rotary Club, the amount and date. Yes, fill this out too. Tell me how you get it. Tell me why you'd apply for that one. Tell me what essays you have to write for that one. That's the information I want to know here. These calculation pages, just in itself, will be considered a quiz grade. Then, if you continue reading, your final project will actually be a PowerPoint presentation created about this. Okay, it is all here what I want from you. Pretty much every single one of these should be its own slide. You will work individually on this project. Check. Your final project must be submitted on Google Classroom using slides or however you want to use it. Please make sure you share it correctly. I will not, if it's sent to my email, I will not read it. It needs to be in Google Classroom. The front of the page should have your title, name, class, and teacher. The second page, or a couple pages, should be a brief description of the university, things about it, and why you want to attend. Make sure it has your degree plan. You're going to tell me about the tuition and room and board costs from Part A, the formula in Part B, estimated tuition costs for all 4 years for the college you chose, for 2 years in a community college, all the things we talked about. It does say graph comparing the cost of college you chose versus the cost of community college. Just mark that out. We're not going to do that. You do not have to graph it for me. Information from the loan calculator and repayment information, which is the last part we did. 2 scholarships you plan to apply for, again the last part, and 1 paragraph describing what you learned while completing your project. It needs to be approximately half a page, as well as the last slide telling me the grade you think you deserve on this project and why. It must be something good you learned. Make sure when you're doing these things, if you get some weird numbers in your calculations and you've done it multiple times and you know that those are the calculations your numbers give you, like maybe perhaps you get a negative % change, meaning the cost of your college is going to decrease. Let's talk about the reasonability of that. Cost of college is probably not going to decrease. So even though those are the numbers you got, in this 1 paragraph describing what you learned, or on the page telling me that it's going to decrease, maybe make a disclaimer and say, this is based on the data. However, I understand that the cost of college will probably increase as the cost of living and the cost of college tuition itself increases everywhere. Make sure that this project is neat, organized, accurate, and creative, specifically the accurate part. Okay? This is your final project. This counts as a test grade.